Hi everyone. Remember last week when we talked about the Tula Supernova and then I basically just quit halfway through? It was too hard. So I quit. Then I went home and I sorted everything out. And so now we can talk about things properly. So, Tula Nova Part 2. Woo! What's in the box? This is in the box. Magic. Okay. So, if you've forgotten, this is what the Tula Supernova quilt looks like. Pause for dramatic effect. Okay, so we're working, so here it is, we're working on those outside colorful blocks, the sort of starry, loopy, blobby, whatever, I don't know, whatever you want to call them. Here's the pink and purple one. I got this far, and then this will join on here, like this, and continue all the way around. And look how good it is, guys. Okay, I figured it out, all the things. So let's talk about what I did. So there's a few spots in the block where every single block in all 10 colors all around the circle are going to be the same print in different colors. So there's 3 spots in this block, and those spots are the hexes are going to be the star point on all the 10 blocks. I've got stripes in here for all 10 blocks, and I've got dots here for all 10 blocks. So that sort of gave me, the framework for how I'm going to pick the rest of my fabrics. Then I just had to add 4 more fabrics. So the center of the star here, the diamond here, the background of this star, and the center of each star. 4 fabrics to add to each of those 10 blocks to get me going on those. A little bit about English paper piecing now. We're going to just cover some very basics of how to do English paper piecing and a little bit of how I cut everything out. So let's do it. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, I'm gonna be fussy cutting the yellow block. I'm just gonna do a little center pentagon right here for the yellow block so you can see what we're doing. And I'm going to be putting this face in there. So I've got this box of fabric template cutting sets for this quilt, which there are a million pieces for this block. Well, like 4,000, 2,000, I don't know. Thousands of pieces to cut. I would not want to have to be taking my papers and cutting with scissors or guessing or using, I don't know. Templates were the way to go when there are this many pieces because it's going to be slow enough. I don't need to make it harder than it already is going to be. So piece F is the one I need for this particular one. This fabric is directional. You can see the faces face one way. Most of my centers are directional. Here you can see the elephant. So what I want is when all 10 of these blocks are in a circle, the bottom is going to be pointing towards center, right? So instead of having that all necessarily face up on the quilt, but all pointing in towards the center. And when we make that block, that means that this bottom pointy bit is the part that points into the center. So that's going to be the bottom of my block when I cut. Then I'm going to watch this line that's in here so that I can get the part that I want inside that block. And then this has seam allowance around the outside. I'm going to line this up, grab my rotary cutter, and then cut all the way around. This is a rotating cutting mat. I'm going to rotate this. I'm not going to lie to you guys. When I do this at home, I do not rotate my cutting mat. I just rotate my arm, and cut at odd angles like that. But it's a little harder to do that here with the cameras and stuff. So there's my little face all cut out for the center of that. Let's talk about how I'm going to glue that on. There are a whole bunch of different shapes with this pattern, and when you get the pattern, it just comes in a big bag. They're all mixed together. So I sorted them out and put each different type in a different little plastic baggie. For this one, I need one out of this plastic baggie. So I'm going to grab a piece of paper out of it, flip this over, and I'm going to center this on. Then I'm going to take my glue pen. I like to glue based as opposed to thread based because I don't know, I'm lazy, I guess. I like it. Gluing is fun, switches it up instead of just always sewing, I guess. I was sitting on the couch last night doing a bunch of gluing. I have a little lap desk that I was using and sitting on the couch doing this last night. So when I'm gluing, I'm trying not to get right on the edge of the cardboard. I want to give myself a little space, a sort of space for the needle. I don't want to have to, it's space for the needle. I don't want to have to sew through the glue. So I want to put my line of glue just inside there, and then I just fold over this, fold over the fabric, and stick it down. Next, we're going to sew some pieces together. So I've got each block organized in a little container like this, and then I have this with my thread, my needles. I've got some clips, some sew tights, and a pair of thread snips in this box. And it all sort of just lives in here like this for me to easily carry around places. So I can bring it to playground with the boys. I can take it while the boys are in sports or dance class or whatever they're doing. I can just bring it, hang out, you know, go wild. So I'm going to grab a clip. I'm going to line these up. I sort of touch both corners to make sure it's perfect, and then put on my clip. I do also have the sew tights. So like the sew tights when I'm sewing larger pieces, so like when I'm sewing this diamond on, then I use the sew tights. But for these smaller pieces, like the star points, then I'm just using the clip because they're a little bit quicker and easier. And I'm using a short darner size 9 for my piecing. And I like to use thread in a color that matches reasonably well. I'm not changing thread colors in this block for each different fabric. I just sort of picked one color that would work for the whole block. So I'm not being like super crazy with my thread matching, but reasonably. I had thread snips, but apparently I'm just gonna cut that with my rotary cutter. So I'm gonna tie a knot. It's a quilter's knot. There's a million people who can make a better video than me how to do that. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring my needle in quite close to the corner and pull it through. Then I like to take another stitch sort of right on or just about on that same spot to start us off. Then I'm going to stitch, so I'd like to do is just a whip stitch. So I'm just going straight through a few threads of each fabric across there. You can use other stitches too. The whip stitch I like on straight sides because it's quick. Yeah, that's basically it, because it's quick, and I like quick things because while yes, I am doing a monster hand piece project, I also don't have like that much patience for things. So I want to go as quick as is reasonable for a project like this. When I get close to the corner here and now this clip is in the way, I just turn it around the corner so it's still clipping onto there, but is a little bit more out of my way. And I'm going to keep going. I like to do my stitches about 1/8 of an inch apart. We're going for, you know, 6 to 10 stitches an inch, I would say. We don't want them super close together. We don't want them super far apart. But I also know my stitches aren't like the most even, guys. Like I'm not here pretending to be the best paper piecer in the world, because I can tell you I am not. But I'm having fun, and so I thought I'd share some of the fun I'm having with you. So here we go. We got to the end of this row here. I like to do 2 little stitches sort of on top of each other at the end just to give it a good anchor. And then I'm going to get my next piece, pop it on. Again, I'm just going to use, I'll sort of exaggerate. So if it's like this, I'm going to use this finger to match those 2 corners, match the edge, put on the clip. And now I can just keep going all the way around my pentagon, getting all 5 star points on. But I'm not going to make you watch me do all of that because that would be incredibly boring for you. All right, so that was my second part of my Tula Supernova quilt. I'm a little obsessed with this quilt at the moment. I don't know if you noticed, so that's why we got 2 videos about it. I don't know what we're doing next week. We'll figure it out. I get to go hang out with my sister and stitch for the weekend, so I'm very excited. Have a good week. I will see you. Well, I won't see you later. You'll see me because I'm on the video. I don't see you because I'm filming in an empty room. But anyways. Bye.